The singer Prince died on Thursday, April 21st, 2016. He was found dead in an elevator in his estate in Minneapolis, or just outside Minneapolis. And there has been, so Prince was only I think 57 years old, and there has been speculation about the cause of his death. They've done I guess they did an autopsy or toxicology something. So they're testing it. They tested samples from his or they are testing samples from his body to see to determine the cause of death. And I guess people in the general public have been speculating about what killed him. There were reports that he had the flu shortly before he died, maybe a few days or a few weeks before he died. A plane, he was flying his private jet, or his private airplane had to make an emergency landing because he allegedly had the flu. And so some people have said that maybe the flu killed him. Some people say he died from AIDS. Some people may think it was a suicide. Now, first of all, he most likely did not die of AIDS because they have medication for HIV now, and someone like Prince obviously can afford it. Magic Johnson is still alive, and Charlie Sheen is still alive. So someone like Prince, he has all his money. Even if he had HIV, he wouldn't die from it. He most likely would not die from it because he can afford the medication. So, and also there's no basis to there doesn't seem to be any basis to think that he had AIDS, right? Because another thing would be he would have likely been sick for a while if he wouldn't just suddenly collapse. So his death, it seemed like he died unexpectedly, which is something people with AIDS seem to get sick, very sick, and then they'll be sick for a while and then they die. That's what seems to happen in general. They kind of die, or they get hospitalized, or they get really sick, they get hospitalized, and then after a few weeks or maybe after a month, then they die. But Prince, he seems to have suddenly collapsed. He was just a few days before he died, or a very short time before he died, he was walking around, he was talking to people, he was giving performances, he was performing, he was doing all kinds of things. So he wasn't sick for a while before his death. So it was a sudden death. Now, could it have been a suicide? The coroner, or the people reported, the authorities reported that there were no signs of trauma on his body. So if he died suddenly, you would assume that it would have been some type of, maybe he shot himself, or if he had committed suicide, he would have most likely maybe shot himself, or cut himself or something like that. That's what I think you would expect from a suicide. Of course, it is possible that he could commit suicide by ingesting some type of pills or something like that. Also, the fact that he was found in an elevator doesn't seem like that would be a place where somebody would commit suicide. You would think, or I would assume, that if someone was going to commit suicide, they would preferably do it somewhere like a bed, do it in bed, or do it lying down on the couch or something, sitting down. But if somebody is in an elevator, it seems like he was going somewhere and then he just suddenly died. So it seems like a sudden accidental death rather than a suicide. And now TMZ has reported that the cause of death, or they suggested that the cause of death was drugs. And there have been these different reports coming out from different news sources have been giving these reports that suggest that Prince was using drugs. So TMZ claims that what happened was when Prince's plane made the emergency landing, it was not the flu that he was hospitalized for. It was actually a drug overdose. That was a problem. So they're saying that he basically he was overdosing on drugs in the airplane, and then they had to land the airplane so that he could get medical help, emergency medical help. And then there was another report. I don't know how accurate it is or not. I don't know whether or not it's accurate, but they were saying that Prince stayed awake. Before he died, he was awake for several hours without sleeping. Now, if someone is awake or several hours or a couple days without sleeping, so now if somebody is awake for like 3 or 4 days, or I can't remember the exact time frame that they said, but if someone is awake for a long period of time, a day, several hours, multiple days without sleeping, that is the type of thing that would happen when somebody is taking certain types of drugs, like say methamphetamine or some type of amphetamine type drug, some drug of that nature that gives you energy and makes you not sleep. So it would seem, if that report is true, that would suggest that Prince was using drugs, and it seems that that may have been the cause of death. Drug use may have been the cause of death. And even just not sleeping, if a person stays awake for a certain period of time, they will die. So it may not even have been the drugs that directly killed him, but if he was awake for too long and he wasn't sleeping, that's something that will kill you. Not sleeping, just like not eating or not drinking or not breathing will kill you. Not sleeping will also kill you if you don't sleep for long enough. So it could have been he could have died indirectly from drug use, if he was using drugs that and just stayed awake and didn't sleep because he was on drugs. He may have died from just not sleeping, or he may have died directly from drug use. Now, of course, I guess we will find out what the case was, or what the cause of death. We should find out when the toxicology reports come back. And there were also reports that there were drugs found on the scene near Prince's body. I'm not sure. Again, I don't know how accurate those reports are, but it seems unusual that a 57-year-old person, a 57-year-old would die suddenly like that. And as far as the flu goes, people do die from the flu. The flu is probably one of the biggest killers of causes of death in developed countries, but it usually kills people who are maybe very young, children or babies, elderly people with pre-existing health problems. And if Prince was a relatively healthy 57-year-old, it's unlikely that's a little young for people to die for a person to die from the flu without any other health problems. And the other thing is, if you watch some of the interviews that Prince gave shortly before his death, or the performances, he does seem like he may be a little bit in a mind-altered state. So it's definitely possible that he was taking lots of drugs. And the other thing about celebrities is, or rich people in general, rich people can't afford to get, obviously anyone can get illegal drugs, but rich people It's easy for rich people to obtain legal prescription pills because they go to a doctor. The doctor won't say no to them. Just like Michael Jackson had that whatever stuff he was taking to go to sleep, and Elvis Presley was on pills, and Marilyn Monroe. Those people, when a person is rich, they go to a doctor. They can go to different doctors. A lot of times doctors won't say no to them because they have so much money, so they can get all kinds of pills. And I think sometimes rich people take drugs because it's convenient for them, because they could take a pill to stay awake, they could take a pill to wake up, they could take a pill so they don't get tired and can keep working. Then they want to go to sleep, they take another pill or take some other drug or whatever, inject the drug to go to sleep. They can take drugs to be happy. If they want to be happy, they can take all kinds of drugs for different purposes. And because it's so easy for them and they have so much money, it's easy for them to just become addicted to these drugs, or start using all these different kinds of drugs. And of course, in the entertainment industry, there's a lot of party drugs as well. I think a lot of people in the entertainment industry around that live a certain lifestyle where they take, or at least where people around them are taking lots of drugs. So Prince's death may have been caused by drug overdose or drug abuse, either legal drugs or perhaps illegal drugs, or maybe both. So yeah, likely could be an accidental overdose or something of that nature.